So you're in New Orleans, right?
That is correct. I'm
All
in
right.
New Orleans.
And Brian, you're in Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm in Brooklyn.
Okay, so very good. So thanks for doing this. So the album is called Starting Anew. Um, Tell me how this record started coming together and how the two of you worked together to make the record.
Brian, you go.
All right, Brian.
Okay, so Maggie and I met, I would say in 2012. Does that feel right?
Yep.
Through mutual friends who ended up becoming my fiance. So we're getting married next month. She connected the two of us early on. And at the time I was making music, and basically anybody that came through to my house and was a musician, I put a microphone in front of them and say, okay, let's record something and see what we can make happen. And I did that with Maggie, and she started singing. She said, oh, I sing a little bit. And as soon as she started singing, I was like blown away. I was like, oh my God, I need to make some music with this person. And, I played some piano. I had this janky upright piano in New Orleans that was a Katrina flood survivor. And it was like barely holding a tune, but it had a vibe. And we started playing music together. And, we slowly started building a repertoire and material, and over the years grew the band out to, add bass, drums, a full horn section. And now when we play, we have the whole ensemble come out. And we had previously released an EP, but now we're finally bringing forward a full album that we have spent quite a lot of time, put a lot of love in, a lot of collaborations in, and, we're excited to be showing it to the world.
Cool. All right, Maggie. So now it's your turn. Tell me about when did the songs that make up Starting Anew start to come together and gel for you as a record?
Wow. Well, it's funny. Writing music, it just it takes a long time sometimes. It takes a long time for songs to actually come to be what they are, especially what you're listening to on this record. The title track, Starting Anew, I wrote as a poem, maybe in 2014. That was a voice memo, and it lived on my phone. And then finally someday Brian played something and I just started singing the poem to it, and it worked out. But, we recorded a small EP back in 2015, and that was really our only recordings we had.
Right.
And after that, we kind of started building, using the horns more and building different repertoires. Basically, a lot of these songs that you're hearing, we would play live a lot, but we had tried to record a couple of the songs, but it just never sounded right. And then the main band that we were kind of performing with kind of fizzled out, but Brian and I kind of stuck together. And when I heard Brian was moving to New York, to support his now fiance in her education endeavors, I was like, we got to record this music. And so we set out to record that out in Acadiana, just like 2 hours southwest of New Orleans. And we just went out into on the bayou and spent a whole weekend. It's a beautiful studio. It's called Dockside Studios, and just stayed out there for the weekend and laid the foundation for this album.
Cool. So was it self-produced? Did you have somebody in there kind of guiding you through it, or how did it work?
Yeah. So I had reached out to somebody that I had known through friends of friends and musically in town that I knew was a producer, and really probably the only person I knew that did that. And, asked him what his interests were, and we kind of met together, and musically we all really gelled, and he helped us put this record together, put it an exorbitant amount of time into the production of it, and really worked with Brian and I on songwriting aspects of it, bringing different musicians in to help us, create a more full sound, and, all the things that producers do. But I'm really grateful for him. Eric Heigl is who produced the album.
Right. Okay. All right. So the songs that comprise the record, were they already ready to go, or were they works in progress?
They weren't so the form they are in the album, they definitely have the spirit of what we were playing live. And I think that was the challenge for us, because a couple times we did little studio sessions, it was like we had this like lightning in a bottle when we played live, had this energy, and it's like we left the stage feeling like, wow, we're like part of something there, and we got all this great feedback from people in the crowd. And we went right into the studio, and it like fell flat when we tried to record it on our own. It just feels like we're forcing it, and it's just like has a little bit less life in it than we're used to it when we really push it and have the live atmosphere. And I think that the songs didn't change a lot in terms of their structure, going from what we were playing to what we recorded. But I think what Eric brought to the table was the ability to kind of breathe that life back into the tracks, even in a studio setting where you're not always going to have, that same level of like spark or spontaneity or the energy of a crowd being with you, that heightened sense of adrenaline. And it's like, how do you make that work on a record that we set out, say, these songs are special and we want to make them into a record we can be proud of. And we couldn't have done it without Eric.
Okay. All righty. Now, when you told your story about how the two of you first met and Maggie sang a little bit, Maggie, were you considering yourself a vocalist or a singer at that time, or what was your status mentally about yourself and your talents?
Yeah, so I didn't discover that I enjoyed singing or that I even had a voice or really started working on my voice until I was a freshman in college.
Okay.
So that was very late for anyone that's really involved in music.
Right.
And I just kind of got invited by two of I always hung out with musicians and artists. So I was surrounded by it a lot, but two of my girlfriends invited me to try to sing in their like little garage band. And I started messing around with that then. So by the time I went to University of San Francisco for nursing, I'm a registered nurse, and that's what I was studying. And that's what I was dedicating my time to. I took one music class in college for no credits. I just did it for fun at my senior year. And I took like a jazz ensemble class, and I was the lead singer of that band. So I got some experience of performing in that situation. But besides that, I really didn't have a lot of experience singing. I had gotten a little bit more comfortable with it, but I didn't consider myself a musician. And, I moved to New Orleans because of, the culture and the music and everything that it holds in it, that magic.
Right.
And, I'm not surprised that, my voice and my musical abilities have flourished in the city. And I met people like Brian and other musicians in our band that I get to create music with.
So Maggie has a distinctive vocal style. What did you think of it when you first heard it? What did it make you feel or think, Brian?
Well, so Marty, I would say that, like, so far you've just heard the recordings, right?
Yep.
We sent you over the recordings. I'll gush a little bit about Maggie here, and she'll probably blush over there, but there's just something really special when you hear Maggie sing in the room, and she just cuts this certain timbre and hits the notes and has a rhythm and energy about the way she sings that's like, it like grabs your attention. You can't help but like lock into it. And it's a rare gift. That's not something that everybody has. And so to me, when I heard that up front, I was like, well, let's make something happen. I mean, I was just in that mode where I was like looking for collaborations. I love to collaborate with music. I don't really like to create music solo. I just like to like find people that bring something else and see how that melds together. And it turned into something really special with Maggie and I.
Maggie, were there any vocalists that you kind of drew inspiration from?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I didn't listen to other vocalists, I don't think I would have known how to sing. I learned to sing by emulating like Nina Simone and Billie Holiday, Dinah Washington, Esther Phillips. Some of these, I mean, a lot of people listen to my voice and they say, oh, you sound like Amy Winehouse, you sound like Adele. And I mean, I don't, take offense to that at all, but I think I learned from the same people that they learned from, I listen to a lot of older music. I mean, the Temptations, like things like Motown. I really have like a strong connection with blues music and oh, I just like wish my voice would go even more deeper and soulful than it does. But I like try to get there in that gravel, and it feels good there in my chest.
Okay. Now I see you have a video out for the song "Hold Me," so maybe we'll roll a little bit of that when I edit this all together. But what can you tell me about the song and maybe about making the video?
Yeah, we collaborated with a friend here that's a filmmaker, and his name is Bruno. What's his last name? I'm blanking, Brian. It's not Mars.
Bruno, it's not
Bruno
Mars.
Have we ever called him Bruno?
It'll come to me.
From Work Light.
But anyway, he shot the video pretty much by himself, and it was like Brian happened to be in New Orleans. It was during Mardi Gras. It was actually the day before Mardi Gras. We planned to shoot the video, and it was literally the coldest day of the year. It was like in the 30s. It was windy, and I was supposed to be shooting this video in front of these like colorful houses and dancing around, like acting like I was having fun. And it was freezing outside, but you know what, we just like got it together. Brian was my hype man and was like, we could do this, and we got through it. And Bruno did a great job with it. Brian, any thoughts?
It was very cold. You can't tell when you watch the video.
Well, that's good. The magic of television.
Freezing our asses off out there. Bruno's last name is Doria. Bruno Doria was the videographer, the cameraman, helped us figure out a storyboard. He edited it, he did color. It's like he's a one-man genius of this stuff. And he did a great job.
So speaking of Bruno Mars, did you guys watch the Grammys?
I did not watch the Grammys. I was disappointed. I didn't even record it. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I missed that. I did see little clips of him with Anderson .Paak getting up to accept their awards with their ridiculous hair.
Yep. They were looking good. But New Orleans did well. I mean, Jon Batiste won the album of the year.
Great.
His speech, I watched that after, and it just made me feel so, I don't know. He's just, I feel like he represented New Orleans very well in that speech. I feel like more artists need to, I don't know, recognize, that there's so many talented people out there, and there is no best to anybody. It's just really, music is so powerful, and it reaches people when they need it the most. It's pretty beautiful message he gave on that speech.
Now, speaking of messages, one track I wanted to touch on was Tears Fall. So I heard something about Wounded Knee in there and things. What's going on there? What can you tell us about it?
Tears fall like raindrops. Tears fall like raindrops. Thunder and lightning strike you out. You built your fences, cut down my trees. You came, you saw, you conquered, taken and seized. This land is your land, this land is my land. I'm buried deep at Wounded Knee.
Yeah, that's an interesting track. Another poem that I wrote. So I'm originally from San Diego, California. And I wrote that song at a place called Presidio Park, which is a park close by my house, which is now on, it's a Junipero Serra museum and like old mission. But it was once, Native Americans had once lived on that land, and there's a lot of history there. And I don't know, there was something about being there at that moment that I felt connected to speak on that. And I always kind of have always respected Native Americans for some of the beliefs as far as in the environment and taking care of the environment, their connection with Mother Earth. Right. And so I wrote that song, as, an ode to their culture and that history that's there. And it's so very important.
All right. Well, it seems like a common indigenous person's theme. The same thing can be said for down here in New Zealand as well. So it's universal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, so when you go out and perform, what kind of people come to see you guys, and what kind of feedback do you get back and forth between folks?
Your turn, Brian.
All right, Brian.
That's a funny question. I don't know.
Looking around for an answer.
So, I mean, when we play in New Orleans, it's like a big party with a bunch of our friends. You know,
Right.
there's a great community of independent musical artists in New Orleans. I mean, it's obviously a very rich city in terms of culture and music. And there's just so many people that are creatives in addition to being musicians, just like that span all these art forms. And so I think that one of the best parts about the artistic community in New Orleans is that there's this mutual effort to support each other and build each other up and grow or practice together and show out when something happens, or you have a performance, or you have a show, or you're out selling some sort of craft. And so for us, I think it was, I mean, a really just unique place to grow this project because there's so much support there. It's so easy to build connections and collaborate. So that's really how the shows go in New Orleans. We've also taken the act on the road and toured up the East Coast and toured up the West Coast and done a bunch of circuits around the Gulf South. We definitely have a Houston family because we're working with Splice Records based out of Houston, and they have the River Revival Festival. So we have a ton of great people all over Texas too that come out and support us. But it's, you know, it's a pretty wide ranging crew, and you know, we just try to connect on stage. I think that, you know, the whole band that we have together just like loves to build on energy, and it's like if the energy is one way, we just like it like lights the spark in all of us. So it's kind of a conversation that goes on while we're on stage.
So Maggie, are you looking forward to getting out and among the folks when the record comes out and you're on stage and
I'm nervous.
Table and all that stuff?
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's been like 2 years of making this record and really kind of taking our time with it, given, you know, the pandemic and all of that. And so I feel like it's kind of crazy that it's literally, we're having a party next Friday.
Right.
And Brian happened to be in New Orleans this past weekend for a wedding, and we had a couple folks over at my house, and we listened to the record for the first time and spun it in my living room. So that was a good feeling. And I'm excited to get back on stage and you know, see all the people and let them hear the songs. And then the following week, we're going to go out on a little tour and playing a festival out in Texas, Old Settlers Fest, and then a big show in Houston.
Cool. Sounds like fun. Very exciting. I mean, this stuff's got to sound great live with me standing feet away from you guys hearing it. So, you got to be a good.
You got to come out, Marty.
I'll be right over.
Well, wait, when are we coming to New Zealand? That's my question.
Anytime you want. We've just opened up the borders again, so you're more than welcome.
Oh, that's good. Well, you'll have to connect us with some people that, you know, if you know anybody that.
Sure, we'll hook you up.
Interested in it.
We have a great Americana scene here, believe it or not. So,
Nice.
and we just had. We have a singer, her name is Tammy Nielsen, who's originally Canadian, but she's been living here forever. And she just came back to Texas and sang on stage with Willie Nelson. So we're all excited about that for her. I know. Awesome. So yeah, there's a thing happening back and forth. So join the party.
Oh.
Amazing.
All righty. Well, I'll let you guys go. Thank you very much for talking to me, and just have a great time.
Great talking
to you, Marty.
to you, Marty.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye.